You're listening to the Globetrotters Podcast, where community and travel come together. I'm your host, Jon Otero. Today, we're joined by Gaby Deimeke, a photographer in the music industry and has toured on 5 continents, working for international artists, industry clients, and iconic music festivals. For the past 4 years, she has worked with J Balvin as J Balvin's personal photographer, shooting his concerts, festivals, Parent Fashion Week, that's impressive, music videos, awards, and a lot more. Gaby has traveled to 51 countries and 40 of the US states, and last year she finally accomplished visiting every continent on the earth. Gaby, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm really excited because I'm a huge J Balvin fan, as you know. I usually try to build a little bit of suspense with the podcast before we get to the main reason that we have you on the show, but in this case, I'm really curious to know the answer. How does someone first connect with J Balvin for this type of experience?
Yeah, so it was actually kind of a crazy coincidence. I think definitely where hard work and preparation met a little bit of luck. I was shooting a music festival in San Francisco called Outside Lands, and not for him or anything, just shooting the festival. And I ended up shooting his set from the crowd. And it made a really cool image that I think a lot of the other photographers who were shooting in the pit didn't get that image. And so I posted it on social media. He ended up seeing it, loved the image, and reached out and asked if he could use it. So I was like, absolutely, sent it to him. He posted it on Instagram, tagged me, and then followed me, and then saw some of the work that I had been doing over the next couple of weeks. And then his manager ended up reaching out and asking if they could hire me for an upcoming show that he had.
Did you know who he was up until that point?
I knew I Like It, the song with Cardi B, and In the Ghetto. I knew those 2 songs, and I knew the name. Like, I knew it was, like, important because he was headlining. So I was like, okay, he's obviously, like, important and famous and had millions of followers on social media. But I didn't know that he was from Colombia. I didn't know, like, the ins and outs of his career. So I did, like, a quick little research, brushed up on a little bit of Spanish, and then I was like, okay, I can do it.
Should we test your Spanish here or keep it off camera?
Okay.
¿Cómo estás?
Bien, ¿y tú?
Puedes hablar el español, ¿ah?
Yo sé un poquito, pero es muy malo.
No, that's really good. All right, we got to give her an applause for that. Let's talk.
Where can I ask the heritage of your family?
Yeah, of course. I'm of Nicaraguense descent, so I'm first-gen American,
Okay.
Both parents out of Nicaragua. Not Colombian. I get that all the time.
Your Spanish sounds like kind of clean, which I think like maybe is why people might think it's like Colombian. I find that accent being easier to understand than like Argentinian.
That is beyond the hardest, and it's just like the lingo, all just different phrasing for words. It's confusing. So I think Chilean. No, actually, Chilean's kind of easy. Argentine Spanish and Spaniard Castellano is very difficult to understand, at least for me.
Yo también.
Let's talk about your background a little bit. So, you're obviously a very talented photographer. Where does that passion come from? Did a family member, were they a good photographer?
So my parents gave me a camera when I was 12. It was just like a little point and shoot. I think we were going to a concert, and so they were just like, here, we can like all take pictures about the weekend, chill. And I became obsessed with it. I took so many photos. It became my favorite thing to do. No matter where I was going, I would take this camera with me. And then I just kept shooting and kept shooting. And then over the years, they kind of got me like a little bit nicer one. I started learning about how to like actually use the settings. Yeah. And then by the time I was in high school, I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to be a photographer.
I still shoot on automatic, so...
I have to train you.
No, I'm kidding. But I'm definitely an amateur photographer. I like to call myself an amateur landscape photographer,
cool.
But don't start asking me about lenses or cameras. There's a difference between this and that. I just shoot for fun. Sometimes the pictures come out really nice. Sometimes they're horrible.
I love that for you. I think I'm not a very technical shooter either. Like, I know how to manipulate the settings to change like depth of field and things like that. But I definitely consider myself more of like, I want to go by like the vibes, and even if it's not technically correct, if it's like a cool shot and creative, like I find that way more interesting.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for not throwing me under the bus and saying I like that for you. Good word phrasing. At what point does it start becoming a hobby to kind of a professional career? Like, at what point are you starting to see enough traction in your work that people are into it, that you're like, maybe this is what I want to do with my life?
Yeah, I think you have to decide if you want to just do it for the passion and art. Like maybe that's just a hobby you love to do. And that's like a creative element that you don't have to worry about making money with it. But I think if you do want to take it seriously, you have to start thinking like, okay, what types of areas do I want to shoot? How am I going to monetize this? How am I going to get clients? How am I going to market myself? If you want to be an entrepreneur as a photographer, you have to kind of figure out those elements. For me, I bounced around from a lot of different things. I was like an assistant for a wedding photographer. When I lived in New York, I did food photography, kind of building up, and then started doing concerts on the side. And then I was like, okay, how can I get paid to do concerts? And then started strategizing around that.
And do you do a lot of pro bono work at the beginning, just to kind of get in those settings, network with those types of, let's say, decision makers?
I personally did. I think it helped a lot to build up my portfolio. I gained a lot of experience. I would often ask or tell the opening band, see if I could shoot for them. And then that gave me access to the headliner. So that was a great way to get bigger artists where like
That's
maybe
a really good tip.
Yeah, it was a good like little sneaky situation where I could do that. So I would do that. I would DM people on Instagram. I would do portrait shoots with up and coming artists. I just like did literally anything I could to try to make it connect.
And so what does it actually take to become a tour photographer for a global superstar from let's say, from a skills perspective?
I think you have to really be down for the hustle and the grind. Like especially even when you're on tour, like like we did a series of back-to-back shows on this tour where it was 4 shows in 4 cities in 4 days. So you have to expect to not sleep. You have to expect to just like put in the work, not complain, make it happen. And I think if you have that kind of mindset and you're willing to put in the effort, then it'll work.
I think that's easier said than done, because if you were to tell me, hey, do you want to go shoot at one of J Balvin's like concerts 4 days in a row, 4 different cities, but you're not going to sleep, I'll be like, hell yeah, sign me up. But what are the realities behind the scenes? Like, take me through the travel routine when you sign up for one of his tours. What are you really signing yourself up for in terms of leaving Austin, which is where we're shooting this?
So the tour that I just did, we were gone for 11 weeks. You start and you go to rehearsals. So you learn like what the set's going to be, like what the set list will be, how the stage will be laid out, how the dancers will be. And then you just start photographing. They always have different things. So I'm working with the content team to deal with maybe different promo or press things he has. I'm after the show, immediately editing all the images and sending them to him in case he wants to post them. And then just being aware of lots of other elements for content, for press. There's a million needs because he has a million things going on. So there's just a lot to keep track of. You have to be very organized. You have to be very quick about editing. And you have to be good at what you do.
Do you enjoy editing?
I like editing, yeah. I've gotten a lot faster at it. When I did weddings, that taught me like how to edit 2,000 pictures in a couple days. So that helped a lot. And then, yeah, like on this tour, my goal was just kind of like, okay, immediately after the show, get all the memory cards dumped, start charging the batteries for the next day's show, and then just rapid fire edit.
Before you joined his first tour, had you joined any other musicians for like this type of experience where you were going to be gone for several weeks at a time shooting?
So I had mostly done festivals, which honestly is probably a good prep anyway, because those are 3 or 4 days where you're shooting like 12 hours a day and you're often outside in the heat. And it's a whole thing. So that helped me a lot to prep. I had done a lot of one-offs with different artists. I got to do video for Noah Kahan when he came to ACL a couple years ago. This past year, I did Connor Price's content for a couple of his shows. So I had like the baseline, but I was like ready to do a tour. Like I wanted to live on the tour bus and do the whole thing.
Take us through the first one. What was it like? What was the routine like? Take me through a standard day where you're not actually shooting for the concert. So I guess a rest day, if you want to call it that, if you even have one of those.
We call them a travel day. Okay. So you're not really resting, but you're traveling to the next place.
Okay, take me through a travel day. You finish a concert in, I don't know what, Buenos Aires, Austin. You pick the city in.
So the city and country depends on how it's all going to be laid out. If it's a U.S. tour, like the one we just did, we're going to have a tour bus, which makes the travel days way easier and way more chill. It just means that after the show, you go on the tour bus, take your shower and everything before, and then you go to sleep. And when you wake up, you're in the next city. So it's not too bad. Then you might check into your hotel room and then have the rest of the day off. That might be a time where I'll have meetings with Rock Nation's team or his content team and kind of plan shot lists for the upcoming shows. And it might truly be an off rest day where I can just relax. Maybe we're in LA. I can go, have some good Tex-Mex or, chill with the crew and then prep for the show the next day. If it's a tour where we don't have a bus and we have to fly, it means that immediately after the show, we are packing our bags, going to the airport, taking like a probably early morning flight without sleeping, probably needing our passports to go to a different country if it's like a South America tour or a Europe tour, and then again, landing, going to the hotel, trying the local cuisine, and then going to sleep.
So it doesn't sound like you have a lot of downtime to actually, let's say, explore these cities, because I think maybe something that I was naive about up until you just kind of gave me this breakdown of what you're doing day to day. I was imagining you had at least 6 to 9 hours each day to like go out and sightsee, but it doesn't sound like you have a lot of that.
It really depends. Like we've had tours, like we did a Europe tour last year where we had like 3 days consecutively off in Spain. So it's like, yeah, we're going to go see La Sagrada Familia. We're going to go eat some paella. We're going to have some tinto de verano, and do those things and really enjoy the culture. But it's totally on a case-by-case basis. I've also done things where I went to New Zealand and I was there less than 24 hours and I saw absolutely nothing. So it just depends. But we always try, if we can, to add on some time at the end for like personal travel. So we have an upcoming show in Japan, and like me and a couple other crew girls were like, we're staying a week later to like hang out in Tokyo, right? And we're like, yeah, of course.
Yeah. I mean, number one, New Zealand is my favorite country ever, so you need to go back.
Totally. Yeah. I did get to briefly see the downtown for like 30 minutes.
For Auckland?
Yeah, Auckland. Okay. But yes, it's of course on my list.
Damn. And I hope, and I asked you this, kind of behind the scenes before we started recording, if you get desensitized to kind of what you're telling me, because, you were just talking about you're in Spain, you're in Europe, you're doing a tour in like APAC. Like, when does it hit you like, shit, I'm doing something really awesome here?
Definitely the first time that I was going to all these countries, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in Romania, I'm in Spain, I'm in Buenos Aires, this is insane. It was like more kind of like crazy. But I think now I really try to definitely see the place and enjoy it, but I have a little bit more element of wanting to protect my mental health, my physical health. And so I definitely have pulled back. And if it's like, hey, I'm in Peru, but I'm so sick that I can't even open my eyes, I'm going to stay in my hotel room and sleep for 8 hours. And so you got to find a balance. But I mean, I'm always the person where if we have 3 hours before the show starts, I'm like, should we go walk around? Should we go check out the downtown? Should we get a postcard? Like, I'm always down for any little adventure. And we also just had a couple days off in Oregon before our shows in Portland and Seattle. And I made my boyfriend fly there, and we drove to the coast, rented a car, and we like just got to explore the beach. So I'm always like finding where we can, have opportunities.
So I guess you're kind of creating that opportunity for yourself, because it sounds like if you really wanted to just do your job, you could easily just go along for the ride and not really see much in these places outside of the hotel room and the concert, or the venue, I should say.
Totally. And the US tour was interesting because there were some places that I really loved, like New York, LA, like there's so much going on. But then also we found ourselves having downtime in like Cleveland or El Paso. And we're like, okay, I think this is maybe a good time for us to like stay in the bus and play cards versus like go try to explore every single city.
Yeah. Hey, don't sleep on Cleveland or El Paso. I've done a few things in Cleveland that were noteworthy. There's some good state parks out there, or close-ish.
We also got to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I really hope it was in Cleveland. It could have been, no, it was Cleveland.
Yeah. Was it?
Could be Cincinnati.
Maybe. Was it Nashville?
No, it was in Ohio.
Oh, okay. No.
Whatever. It was cool too. And there was a cool museum, and if you show your tour laminate, you got to go in for free. So that was fun.
Damn, what a cool work perk. Let's talk about the actual concert and kind of the behind the scenes from when you need to be, let's say, quote unquote, on. I think I saw somewhere that you take about 2,000 pictures per night and edit them down to 50.
Yeah,
or
that's true.
Choosing your favorite 50. Number one, that's insane. It's really hard for me to wrap my head around it. But before we get into that technical aspect, what is the experience like during the concert?
So before the show starts, we'll do a meet and greet. So that's always really fun. And I'll take the photos of Jose meeting the fans. And then we send the photos to the fans later. So they're always like super excited. They're like, sometimes they bring him little gifts. On his birthday, someone brought him a whole cake. Like, we're just like, how did you get this cake in here? But yeah, that kind of like starts the anticipation. We're like, okay, I'm locking in. And then after that, I'm prepping all my gear. I shoot with 2 cameras at the same time, one with a wide lens, one with a zoom. So I'm like physically putting all that on, making sure I have the memory cards, everything ready. And then he does this tradition where he and his friends and the band will kind of like walk to the stage together playing some hype song. So we film that, like me and the videographer. So that like really gets you hyped. And then on this tour, he started under the stage, and that was like a surprise, like coming up from the stage. So we actually got to follow him under the stage. And then he would say a really hype thing like, to the dancers, to the crew, like, let's have a good show. Let's get going. Let's get hyped. And so that would really
I'm
hype
getting
you
hyped
up.
right now. I'm ready to
Like, let's go.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, yeah, let's go. Let's do this. And then the show itself, I'm just running like so many steps, going to the back of the arena to get the whole arena, going down in the photo pit, getting close-ups, getting fans. I'm just literally like, you never know where I'm going to be for 2 hours. And then immediately after I photograph him walking off stage and going either to his dressing room or to leave, then I immediately head back to my room, start dumping all the footage, and then start sorting.
And how often does something not go according to plan? Because, you talk about kind of going through these like dress rehearsals to kind of figure out where you're going to be to get these shots. But every venue is different. And I'm assuming if you're going to these different countries or continents all around the world, you've also probably never been to these venues yourself. So what's the percentage of things working out exactly what you thought it was going to be versus unexpected?
Definitely 0%. You're totally right. Every single venue is different. And so that's why during sound check, I will go and figure out my path and figure out how to get to every place. So that prep work helps, but yeah, nothing ever fully goes to plan. That's why we also have in-ear monitors. So if there is a technical issue, they will tell everybody who needs to know, hey, just so you know, like this camera's not working, or can you go here, or can you move, or even something as small as Jose being like, can someone bring me some water? All those little things I will be privy to. And that helps me know, or maybe he'll say, hey, I'm about to bring a fan on stage randomly. And I'm like, okay, well, let me go get there really quick. Or he'll say, Gaby, come get a shot of this fan over here. So that helps keep the margin of error low. And then you just have to be able to pivot constantly.
Damn, that sounds so awesome. I wish J Balvin was telling me, hey, John, go get this shot over there.
Yeah. It's
sick.
cool, but sometimes I'm like nervous because he's like, Gaby, where are you? And I'm like, let me run over there real quick.
On that point, like, talk to me about some of your most unforgettable moments that you've had, let's say, related to, Jose.
Yeah.
I'm going to call him that.
You can. It's okay.
No. I'm going to definitely call him by his stage name, J Balvin. But your most unforgettable moment with him, and then just maybe with an experience that you had with the crowd or someone else backstage.
I've had so many crazy experiences. So many, but I'll name a couple. We got to do a show for the World Cup in Qatar. Damn. Insane. One of the craziest things I've ever been a part of. He came out as a surprise guest for Karol G at MetLife Stadium. Insane screaming, the biggest screaming I've ever heard in my life. Like, so cool, gave me goosebumps. On this particular tour, on the Rio tour, in Brooklyn, we had a crazy show. Ed Sheeran came out as a surprise guest. I actually got to give him my photography book that has a photo of him and Jose hanging out. So that was really cool. Austin was a special show for me personally because my family got to come. It was the first Balvin show they ever saw. So they got to meet him backstage and do the whole thing. And then in LA, Kia Forum. I don't know if you know much about that venue, but it's a really iconic venue. Everybody's played there. Every person who's played their name gets written on the wall. It's a red wall and backstage. And so I got to take a picture with his name being there. I took some pictures of him. And then also Rolling Stone did an article about his Forum show and they used one of my photos. So that was my first Rolling Stone byline. So I was like, yes.
Damn, that's so sick.
Yeah.
Going back to the World Cup, you said you weren't privy to Karol G being kind of a surprise guest for, is it that?
She had a show that was her show in Brooklyn at MetLife Stadium, and she asked him if he would come out as a surprise guest. So I got to like go with him there, and nobody in the stadium knew he was going to come out like halfway through. So that was really cool.
How far in advance are you aware of those types of decisions? Like how on the fly is it? Is really what I'm at.
That was like the week before. The Ed Sheeran thing, I think they told me like the day before. So sometimes you just really don't know. Sometimes they'll tell you day of. Yeah, it just totally depends. But it's usually nothing in the music industry has much advance notice.
And let's talk about some of your favorite shoots, maybe your favorite concert experience. Just give me one.
He did Coachella. That was insane. Like the stage, the whole production, it was like alien themed, the dancers, it was really cool. So to shoot that like was really special.
And this is just kind of a sidebar question, but are people respectful of the fact that, because you are kind of, I don't want to say in the way of people trying to see the artist, but
no, I'm totally in the way.
Yeah,
I'm totally in the way in the photo pit.
So are people respectful of, hey, this is your job, or are they like, get the hell out the way?
I've definitely had both experiences, but I think what I try to do is be a little bit aware of that. And so if I am in the photo pit, I'm not going to just stand in one spot the entire time. I'm going to maybe I'll be left corner for a while, maybe I'll be right corner. And then I do go to the back and shoot from the crowd a lot, just for different angles and to get the fans in the shot. But I'm never in the photo pit for more than 5 minutes at a time. So I think people, they can see that I'm working. And I think it'd be one thing if I was just standing right in front of them, but I'm sneaky.
Yeah, let's say those tickets aren't cheap, especially in the United States. So if I was in their shoes and you're there for more than 2 minutes, I'd be like, hey, move. Gaby, I know you, but get the out of here.
Literally. They're really good about giving me a lot of space in the pit as well. So even if I am standing there, the way that it's spaced with the chairs is usually not like a direct, like they can usually still shoot everything on their phone, even if I'm there, based on how the photo pit was laid out.
Yeah, and are there other like tour photographers that are also like kind of working with you to get different angle shots at the same time?
Yeah, so we had a videographer for the last tour who I was mainly on photo and he was mainly on video, but obviously we both kind of like hybrid it. If one of us is at a certain spot where the other person couldn't get the shot or, whatever, we'll shoot the other for the person just so we have more content.
Yeah, and the reason that I asked that, do you ever feel pressure in the situations that you're in to, let's say, get a shot or,
Yeah, I feel more pressure when it's like a time constraint, like as the Karol G thing that I mentioned. He performed like 2 songs, so that was like 6 minutes. So it's like, okay, I have 6 minutes to be in the stadium and get 10 to 20 shots that are good enough that he's going to want to post. So that was kind of like, okay, really, really lock in. For shows, if the show's 2 hours, I'm so confident that I can get a million cool shots in 2 hours. It's if it's like, or even if he has a surprise guest, like Ed Sheeran came for 1 song. So it's like, okay, you have 3 minutes to get a shot that he's going to post on Instagram. So that was pressure for me, but I'm good under pressure.
Good. Well said. 1,000, 2,000 photos.
2,000.
2,000 down to...
Between 1,000 to 2,000, it just depends, but...
How do you make that, how do you make those decisions? Like, I mean, obviously something's blurry. Obviously you're going to throw it out. So that's easy.
Yes.
But I'm assuming or kind of guessing that once you start getting down to 200, that decision becomes a little bit more difficult. What do you look for to differentiate one shot from?
Yeah, I definitely shoot like sequences. So maybe if he's like near the stage in this moment, I'm going to shoot 20 shots at that moment. And usually when I'm shooting, I know, okay, that was the one. And they're usually like one of the last few because once I know that I got the shot, then I go shoot something else. So they're usually like toward the later. So if I have a sequence that I can see, I use Photo Mechanic to cull my photos. I'm like arrow keying. I'm like, okay, here's the sequence. Check the last one. Okay, that's the best one. Rate it and move on. But yeah, you just have to learn to not edit too many pictures and try to find the pictures that best represent that specific show.
Is there a specific shot you've gotten of J Balvin outside of the time that, you impressed them enough that they reached out to you to employ you, that you've taken over the years that was your favorite?
I have a lot of favorites. A lot of them are portraits of him in kind of candid moments. Like the one up there, that was the tea parlor. So we were filming a music video in Chinatown, and then that was just like between takes. And he just sat down there. And I'm like, that's like such a nice, candid moment that you would never get from just a show photo. So I have ones like that are really special to me. Some of them I've gotten to hang up in my house. I have one, which I should show you after this, that I just framed. It was an image from one of our first shows on the Rio tour in Atlanta, and I had it printed out, and he signed it for me. So I just got it framed because I'm like, that's iconic.
And that's so awesome. I'm fanboying a lot over here, just so you know. And I'm going to ask you two more questions about J Balvin, and we'll kind of move on about your personal, journey with travel. Number one, what are your interactions with him like when you are actually, have some downtime where it's not business related?
Yeah, we've definitely had like off days or like different like crew excursions, or like we'll usually do like a wrap party dinner. We did one in Singapore, I think, last year. That was like so fun. We all got to get really dressed up. Like he hosted a dinner for everyone. And he's just like the nicest person, super sweet, so down to earth. Like I have heard that other celebrities are very kind of more uptight and like have more of an attitude. He's always been like nothing but absolutely so kind and generous for me. He'll hold the door for any of the women that are walking by at the same time. Like he'll shake hands with everybody when he walks into the venue. It's just like very nice, professional, great atmosphere. And I feel very lucky in that sense.
Yeah. No, I'm happy to hear that. That was kind of what I've read about him. So I'm happy to hear from an inside source that, he really is like that. And then too, kind of differentiating the persona, the person, the performer, with the actual person. We kind of talked off screen, those moments where he's kind of like interacting with his family. Does that humanize him for you?
For sure. Like he got to bring Rio to quite a few shows on the last tour, and his partner Valentina. And so like just seeing them in the dressing room, like hanging out, playing toys with Rio, I'm like, oh yeah, he's just a normal person. He's just a dad. He's just a regular human. So that definitely makes me see him just as another human, not as this icon of like the persona of J Balvin.
Yeah. No, I understand. And then, man, that's cool. Let's talk about your relationship with travel. What was that like growing up?
Yeah, so my parents were always really down to take us on trips, even if it was just like to a different state, to go explore camping. We were big into camping. We had like a little RV, so they would take us on like weekend trips. Yeah, so that was really fun. They did take me cool places. They always liked the beach, so we would go to like Costa Rica, Mexico, Cozumel, Belize. I've gotten to go a lot of those places. And then in college, I was like, I want to travel. So then I studied abroad in London, and that really started my personal travel journey of like figuring out where I like to travel and how I like to travel. So ever since then, it's been crazy.
How do you like to travel? Are you more on like the upscale luxury side, or are you down to rough it?
I am definitely down to have a mix. So in college, when I was studying abroad, we were roughing it. We took one backpack. We took the $30 EasyJet flights. We stayed in the hostels. My friend and I did like a backpacking trip to Iceland and a month in Europe after college. And we literally had one suitcase. We walked places where we could have Ubered. Like we roughed it.
Yeah.
And then slowly I've kind of like, now that I, can afford to do a little bit more, Justin and I will do like a middle ground. So maybe one night we'll splurge and stay in like a really nice place. And then we'll do, just we got to find the middle ground and figure out what's worth it.
And then when you're actually traveling, what do you look for in the experiences? Are you more of a foodie? Are you going to the museums? You are a very artsy person. So I'm curious what that dynamic is like.
Yeah, I want to do all the things. Like I'm the person on vacation where I have the itinerary planned. We have like 6 hours of activities each day. I want to try all the food. I want to see all the places. I love public transport. That was like one thing from living in New York and London. I love taking the tube and the metro. So if they have public transport in that city, I'm going to learn to navigate it and like download the app for the routes and figure it out. When Justin and I went to Japan last year, we got to like navigate the entire public transit, and I like navigated us there, which was like really rewarding. All the museums, if there's like a sightseeing thing to do there, I want to do it.
And are you a fast traveler or a slow traveler? Like how long are you staying out at these places? And like myself, I try to accomplish as much as I can in one day, just because I know realistically it's going to be a long time before I'm back here.
Yeah.
And I know that's not everyone's jam. So just what's yours?
I definitely try to squeeze in the most that I can. I don't, because of my work schedule being so crazy, I usually don't have like tons of free time. So it is more kind of on the fast edge of it. The trip we did last year to Asia was like 2 weeks and we did 2 different countries. So that was like kind of a good balance of like a week each. If we have a show in a different country, I try to add like maybe an extra weekend or a week onto it to kind of utilize that. But yeah, if Justin was like, hey, do you want to just like go rent an Airbnb in Bali for a month or two? I'd be like, sure, let's go.
What a terrible experience. What are your favorite places that you've been to? Let's talk about your top 3.
It's so hard. I'm sure you have this too, where you're like, how would I ever decide?
I know, I have my 2.
You have your 2?
Yeah.
Okay, well, have like a recency bias because in January, I did South Africa with one of my best friends. That was unlike any place I'd ever experienced in my whole life.
What made it stand out?
Well, we did a safari. Yeah. So, like, I mean, just being in a Jeep in, like, a desert with, like, a cheetah running by, you're like, I've never seen that before. And an elephant walks by and, like, eats a branch of something, like, 2 feet away from you. You're like, this is crazy. But I love that. And then, obviously, Antarctica, I went last year. Like, nobody's been there except, like, a really small... Again, like there's no place on earth like it. So that was crazy.
And let's talk about Antarctica a little bit because I've met a few people that have been there, but you know, for all the travelers that we have, most of them haven't.
Yeah.
What makes, besides being a bucket list destination in the sense of like, you know, that's how you got to all 7 continents, which is an impressive achievement. Congrats to you.
Thank you.
What is cool about Antarctica?
There is so much that's cool about Antarctica. For me, learning about everything that goes on there and the climate and the animals and habitats, like that was really interesting. So the excursion that we took had a lot of knowledgeable people that were guides that explained, here are the different types of penguins, here are the different types of whales. And so to know like their habits and learn about why they're there and when they migrate and like all of those elements, that made it like a really valuable experience for me.
And what's the journey like to get to Antarctica? Because and tell me if this was your route, most common way, you fly into Argentina or Chile, then go to the southern tip of Argentina, take I was going to call it a ferry. Take the ship to Antarctica, and then I guess you could use like little dinghies or little boats to actually go on land. I don't know if you spent any time on the mainland.
I did, yes. So you're totally right. My friend and I flew to Buenos Aires, and then we flew to Ushuaia, and then you're required to get to Ushuaia, I think like a day and a half before to make sure if there's any travel issues, because there's like 1 flight a day in from Buenos Aires. So that was cool too, because we got to explore an Argentina national park like there, which that was super cool. And like near the Patagonia region. Then you get on the boat and then you start your 2-day journey across the Drake Passage, which is like the roughest waters on planet Earth. You definitely
Did you get seasick?
I did okay. It was really funny because my friend Megan, who went with me, has done like dozens of cruises in her life. So she was like super confident that she would be totally fine. She's never gotten seasick. I have like a stomach that's kind of iffy. I had never done a cruise. So I was like nervous that I was going to get really nauseous. And then, of course, it was her that was like throwing up and sick for like 2 days.
I like how you love sharing that story.
Yeah.
Like, she got sick.
Because the whole time she was like, I'm not going to get sick. I'm like experienced with cruises. And I was like, okay, I don't know, but like I'm really nervous. And then, we just loaded up all of the Dramamine, all of the like tension bands on your wrists to help, anything we could for those 2 days until it leveled out.
Is it really as rough as you expect, or is it really that rough, the waters?
The water's that rough, and I just remember sitting in the dining hall, like, this is the boat.
No, I'm about to get...
It's crazy.
Yeah, I already know what you're going to say, but go ahead.
So there's windows on both sides. We're sitting in the middle, and, like, you look to the right, and there's water above the window, and you look to the left, and there's no water. So the boat's like this. And then 2 seconds later, everything shifts, and it's opposite. And it's so... like, your boat is sideways. I don't know. I don't understand, like, engineering to know, like, what makes it not flip over. But it was literally like this. And it just does that for, like, 2 days.
And these are massive boats, right? Like, roughly how many people are going on?
I think there was, like, 100 or something like that. So, it's, like, enough where, like, there's, like, dorms for all those people, the crew to all stay, food, everything. it was pretty big. And to know that the wave was just tossing it like it was nothing, that is a weird, and trying to sleep laying flat.
Shit.
And then you're just rocking. Like, it's a weird sensation that I had never felt before and don't really want to have to feel again.
How long does it take to actually reach Antarctica on the boat?
It was like 2 days, two and a half days.
Does it ever kind of freak you out thinking like, wow, I'm really in the middle of the ocean? Like, if someone was going to come rescue me here, it's got to be a ship or maybe?
Yeah. That was a little terrifying. They like gave us a lot of safety briefings. We had to do a test with like our life jackets and like everything like that. And then knowing that there was like satellite trackers on our boat and things was like, okay, if something really happened, like there's multiple ways where our location is being pinpointed right now. But yeah, it was like terrifying to literally look out and you just see water everywhere and you're like, we are not in South America anymore.
Before South Africa, and because you said that was more of like, you know, a recent experience, which is why maybe it ranks really highly, and Antarctica, obviously very cool.
Yeah.
Before those two, what would you have said was your favorite experience and why?
Yeah, I think probably either Croatia or Italy. For Croatia, it's like a funny story that my friend and I, we were doing a photography course in Italy. And like the week before I was supposed to fly home, she convinced me to change my flight to like 2 weeks later. And we ended up just going on this random adventure. We paid like $30 to go on a flight to Croatia. We went to Dubrovnik. I love Game of Thrones.
Yeah, me too.
So that was cool. And then we just stayed in this hostel that was like $30. Didn't have like AC or Wi-Fi. We like had no connection to the outside world, but we just roughed it so we could go. And just like walking around exploring Dubrovnik was so cool. And it looks so cool.
And I think that's one of the cool parts about being in Europe for however long, right? You said you studied abroad there and you got your master's in the UK. It's just the fact that for less than the price of going from, let's say, Texas to California, which in Europe would be a totally different country.
Yeah.
Speaking a different language, you're probably flying there, you know, on EasyJet or something like that, like the equivalent, probably better than Spirit, but but still very cheaply, and it's easy to get around. So very cool. What have you taken away from traveling that you've discovered about yourself or the world?
I definitely think that just it being exposed to so many different cultures, languages, people, places has made me just more empathetic and open-minded to the way that people live that's different than the way that I live. I think that's the best thing you can do to like go see the world and be like, oh, wow, like as Americans, we can get so self-centered and like what we do is the way the world works. And that's not the case at all. So having that was very eye-opening, and I think it's important for everybody to go do that. And then I think also just like meeting people. I've gotten to meet so many cool people. Like having friends in so many different countries is amazing. Being to experience that with your friends. Like my friend Megan and I, like going to South Africa and Antarctica together, like we'll never forget that. Those are like literally life-changing moments. So to have those connections with other people, I think that's like the point of life.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. And then, you know, given that your career takes you through these really like high adrenaline situations and you do a lot of traveling, when you aren't traveling, do you actually feel comfortable being at home, or do you feel restless, like you got to go up and do something?
Yeah, there's definitely like a pendulum of extremes. Like when I get home, okay, I've been home 10 days now from tour, and I've begrudgingly left the house like 2 times. Like when I first get home, I need to be home and ground and not see anybody and sleep for a really long time. And I don't want to leave the house. And my house is like my safe space. And I'm slowly just at a point where I'm like interested in being perceived.
10 days later.
Yeah. So I need that like deep rest after. But then I'm like, okay, what are we doing? Because I travel a lot for work, but I also travel a lot for funsies. So I'm booking right now. My mom and I are doing a Vienna riverboat cruise for Christmas. So we're going to like 10 Christmas markets and like taking this cute little boat. And I'm going to Bratislava, which I've never been to, which I'm excited for. So I'm like, okay, where's the next trip?
And that is a really unique experience. Who came up with that idea, you or your mom?
So it's actually a girls' trip between me, one of my friends, and my mom and her mom.
Very cool.
Mother-daughter, yeah. She found it and she was like, should we do this? And I was like, Absolutely.
Yeah, man, I can't wait to hear what that experience was like. I've never heard of anyone doing something like that. And it's such a very like niche way of experiencing a culture that I love those experiences because it's off the beaten path a little bit.
Totally. And since it's around Christmas time, everything will be decorated. There's gonna be like ornaments and Christmas trees and lights everywhere. The Christmas markets. I'm gonna have my mulled wine.
And then kind of a last question about you and when you're away from home. Besides your partner, we'll throw him a bone here. What do you miss most about being home?
For me, I just miss the groundedness, like being able to cook my own meals. People don't realize like when you do a tour, like you're eating catering for 11 weeks. So like just like coming home, being able to like eat my expensive salt that I have for all my meals, like
Himalayan pink salt.
literally.
Yeah.
Being able to we wake up when I want, just having like that control back. Like it's a very set schedule. So to like come back and like all those things, I definitely miss. I definitely miss clothes because you pack like one suitcase and you wear like the same 5 shirts for like months at a time.
But that's a skill you've developed, right? Because, or are they actually limiting you to like, hey, it's one suitcase?
It's one suitcase.
Okay.
But I would limit myself anyway because I have a lot of camera gear I like to bring. So my carry-on is all my camera equipment. So I just get one checked bag. And so I usually bring like a pair of sneakers, a pair of shower shoes, and then shirts, pants.
But in some ways, I feel like that makes a very simplistic living, right? Where it's like, you don't have to really give a shit about fashion or like,
No.
Makeup or anything. It's kind of like, yeah, I'm going to rotate through these 3 outfits day in and day out.
Yeah. And that it's like a cool connection with the crew too, because it's like, okay, like the wardrobe girl, shout out to Erica. She is one of my besties from this past tour. And it's like, yeah, I don't care what you wear. I don't care if you have designer clothes. Like, we've gotten a bond to go to all these different places together and share these experiences just because I like you, who you are as a human. So that is cool and a different experience than just normal life.
And is that crew bond like, is there ever any conflict there? Or for the most part, your experiences have been really pleasant?
I've gotten so lucky. I've heard horror stories of other crews that don't mesh very well. Our crew meshes very well. Everybody is like so connected. I love everybody on the crew. I trust everybody. We all have each other's backs. Like I consider them like family to me because I spend more time with them sometimes than my own family. So yeah, we have such a strong bond. And sometimes when we leave, it's kind of like, okay, I want to go home, but like, how am I going to leave you guys?
And then are you guys really dispersed throughout the country and the world?
The entire world. We have a lot of people in London. We have people in LA. Our tour manager lives in Buenos Aires. I'm here in Austin. So it's literally people live around the world. But it's so fun because then when you are traveling, you can link up with them.
Exactly. And that's the beautiful part about having friends all around the world. So, Gaby, before we leave you here today, we like to do a little frequent flyer fling segment. We're going to ask you 5 travel related, maybe a J Balvin question in there in quick succession. So answer as fast as you can.
Okay.
Best food you've had on tour?
Oh my God. Probably paella.
Ooh.
Paella in Spain for sure. This is okay. It's
No,
supposed to be rapid.
No, you wanted to elaborate. We'll let you
I've tried
elaborate.
a lot of Colombian food, and there's some good stuff like chicharrón and just like arepas. Oof.
2 things you pack in your gear bag that you don't actually use.
I brought some mics to do like little interviews or something, and I ended up not using the mics. I also brought a little Canon G7X point and shoot camera. I was like, oh, maybe we'll just take cute little crew photos around. Literally never took it out of my bag.
At least they're like kind of light items, so not too big of a problem. What's a place you want to return to, but without a camera?
Never. Why? I would probably go back to the Amalfi Coast.
Favorite J Balvin Jose song?
Oh, he has a song with Ed Sheeran called Sea Gay. That's really good. Also, his new song, K Lo K. It's a banger.
The response you most often get when you tell people what you do?
It's if I mention that I'm Jose's photographer, they're either like, oh my God, or who's that? It's one of the two.
What is that like a percentage? I have to imagine it's more people that know who he is, but maybe I'm just biased because I'm Latino, and I love reggaeton.
Yeah, I think white people are kind of like, who? And I think, but like in Austin, people know because it's like we're close enough to the border here that it's like, okay, Spanish speaking, they got it.
And so, Gaby, it's been so awesome getting to know you and talk about your experience, not only as a photographer, your journey, your experiences with J Balvin, but also, how much of a traveler you are. If our listeners want to learn a little bit more about you and follow your adventures, where can they find you?
They should definitely check me out on social media. I have the same handle everywhere. It's at Gaby Deimeke. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I've been trying to make more YouTube videos. So yeah, check me out there.
They're actually really damn good with awesome content, like awesome footage and photos. So if our listeners want to find out a little bit more about us, they already know what they can do. They can find us at www.gtspodcast.com, Instagram or Facebook at Globetrotters Podcast. Make sure you drop us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify if you enjoyed listening to this conversation. And make sure you reach out to Gaby. She's a really cool person. Editing on this podcast was done by myself and Gaby. I really mean it. It's been so awesome getting a chance to know you.
Thank you so much. This has been great.
Until next time.